everybody, welcome back to Susan Man Entertainment, your one stop for all things entertainment. And I know I say that, but what other entertainment am I providing you? Should I sing and dance for you? You know what? Actually, I will have some music for y'all. I've recorded some music, and I'll be posting those videos soon so y'all can enjoy that. But today we got a threefer. We've been doing twofers. Now it's a threefer of movie reviews. And let's get right into it. I'm excited because we got some good ones. First, we'll talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is the final Guardians of the Galaxy movie, supposedly, in the trilogy. Again, directed by James Gunn. I'm glad he came back to finish off the movies that he started. And this was great. This was, right off the bat, this was awesome-tacular. This is one of the best movies of the year. It's not perfect. It definitely has flaws. But man, this was an enjoyable romp throughout. Easily the best Marvel movie since Spider-Man No Way Home. So let's get into it, the good stuff. So, yes, the whole cast is back, and there's just really strong performances throughout the movie. And in this, we see, the plot. Rocket is injured, and they must find a way to heal him because he has a device in his body that is controlled by this big bad called the Grand Evolutionary, who created him to who he is. And I'll say the Grand Evolutionary, he is a very good Marvel villain. Absolutely. He's up at, I don't think he's at the top, but he's definitely above a lot that we've had before. And this is essentially Rocket's story. If the first one, I think the first movie is more Gamora's story. The second one's obviously Quill's story, and this is definitely Rocket's story. And it just hits so many emotional notes. For the most of the movie, he's unconscious, and we're just kind of, the team, the Guardians are trying to, they're on their journey to, fix him, cure him. And while that's going on, we get clips of Rocket being experimented on, and he's got his little friends that were also experimenting on other creatures, a walrus, a horrifying spider rabbit, and a sea otter. And, or it could have been a river otter. I don't know. I'm sorry. But yes, those are the heart of the movie. And those are like, some heartbreaking stuff. People really like it. But there's some, what's going on outside of that is very satisfying too. I will say, super underrated, Mantis steals the show. She is fantastic. She steals every scene she's in, Usually it's Drax. I love him, but Mantis really steals the show. Now, they show the place Nowhere, which is in the skull of this celestial being. But in this movie, you really get to feel it like lived in, and you kind of understand, what's going, you feel like you could go there, it feels like a really lived in world. It's, the central hub where the Guardians live. And, you have all the wacky characters, Howard the Duck's in there. And there was just so many, it just hit all the notes. The action was great, funny moments, but, well, every movie has some sort of flaw, I guess. But I found very few. I thought some of the song choices they just put in there, and they play through the scenes while there's dialogue for no reason. I think only a few of the songs hit, satisfying, like, oh, okay, that song makes sense, or it makes me feel a certain way, but some are just put in there and you're like, huh? I mean, I guess. And then it doesn't do it very often, but sometimes there are emotional moments that are undercut by jokes, but not in the way that, like Thor Love and Thunder did. Obviously Gamora, she's not the same Gamora, but she kind of we understand she kind of comes around at the end. And lastly, Adam Warlock, I love the actor who plays him, but Adam Warlock, I feel like it was just an obligation to put him in there because they hinted at him in the second movie. So they give him something to do, but it feels like it was very arbitrary. But overall, this is a must see. This is great entertainment. This was a fantastic. If you're a Guardians of the Galaxy fan or Marvel fan in general, you have to see this movie. This is awesome-tacular. Okay, moving right along. We'll talk about Air. I actually just saw this on Amazon Prime, but it was in theaters as well. This is the true story about Nike, an up-and-coming, company at the time, trying to sign Michael Jordan. Now they have other, they had other their basketball division was like very small. Adidas and Converse are like the top dogs, and like Nike is just like this up and comer. Like they haven't really signed any big names or anything, so they're more of a running shoe. But this movie was very entertaining. I enjoyed it throughout. The performances are great. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Jason Bateman, Viola Davis. These are some great actors, and I believe Ben Affleck filmed this as well. So he has a good track record of directing. So, but there were some problems with, I thought, but overall though, I will say it is. It's a great. I enjoyed it. I think you can go into this movie not even liking basketball much, or even Michael Jordan as a figurehead, or Nike even. I think this movie definitely can hold interest for people that have no idea the subject matter. But I imagine most people will go see this because they do like basketball. They do love Michael Jordan. They do love Nike, and they're gonna enjoy themselves as well. I will say the performances are good, but Matt Damon, he basically plays Matt Damon in every. I can say that about Ben Affleck too. I would have liked some more Ben Affleck, but I think he's kind of takes a back seat to the others. Jason Bateman is good as well, but he also kind of just plays Jason Bateman. Viola Davis is great as Michael Jordan's mom. Some gripes, I guess I will say, is that you don't hear or see Michael Jordan in this movie. I don't know if that was they didn't have the rights to him, or they didn't want to be in it, or whatnot. You get a younger version, but still, they could have. They don't never show his face. They never show the actor who's playing Michael Jordan. That kind of bothered. I would like to hear him say what he felt about, because he wanted Adidas, but they wouldn't match what Nike was going to do. But it is a fun, they're kind of gambling the company away, trying to gamble on this last shot to get a big name, because their last, basketball endorsement went to crap. And I checked some of the facts in it, and for the most part, this movie got a lot of the facts right, but this part, felt kind of embellished a little bit. We're going to bet the whole basketball division. But it's satisfying because there's no, Matt Damon character is kind of the central character, but you don't really get to know him per se. But I would say it's more about the company itself. Like it felt like they were small time, and they were, these group of characters as a whole, and you felt for them as a whole. Chris Tucker, I think, gave the best performance. He actually had a performance. He didn't just try to play Chris Tucker. So it's like this group of, motivated individuals, and they're really trying to take a risk. Ben Affleck plays the head of the CEO, so this was a big risk for him to, put so much money on Michael Jordan, who at the time, the movie does it differently, but at the in real life it was $500,000 the signing for this, and this was the largest by a lot for any athlete ever for a shoe or anything like that. So it was very satisfying. The ending kind of meanders. I wish it had some sort of satisfying ending, but it kind of just kind of, you get that basic, like, ones you would see. It's like, you'll see the agent or the CEO and the Jordan, like, he went on and did this and this and this, like a little text scroll, and he went on and did this and this, and, as they do in these kind of movies. But it didn't have like a kind of end. It felt like there was an ending, but they didn't end it there, and they just kind of do some. It's just not a satisfying ending. But I think this is a really good movie. I think it's above average. It's a really good movie. I think people will enjoy it. So definitely check it out if you have Amazon Prime Video. All right, lastly, and this one, I had no idea about this movie. I just saw Tom Hanks in it. I was like, hey, A Man Named Otto. And then I did a little research. I found out it was a Swedish film, I believe, Finnish or Swedish. And I guess it was popular. I guess maybe it was a book first, and then it became a Swedish film. And then you always get the American version. So how was A Man Named Otto? Is it Gran Torino Light? A great movie with Clint Eastwood, about a man who, basically it's a man who's ready to off himself. And he tries to several times because he lost his wife, he's much older in age, and he lives in this whole community that he lives in is probably the strongest thing in the movie, because he really is kind of an unlikable character. And I think that's why the movie didn't work for me, is because Tom Hanks doesn't play an unlikable character very well. He's too likable of a character. So him playing a curmudgeon just didn't work for me, And essentially he's about to off himself, but these new family of, I think they're El Salvadorian or, Hispanic in nature, Latino in nature, move in, and it's a pregnant woman, and she wants to be friends with, she's just friendly in nature, and he is not friendly in nature. He got laid off from his job. He's old, severance pay, there you go. His wife died, and we get brief moments going back, because we know something happened to her. It doesn't say it at the beginning, but you just kind of know. And we get little clippets of him meeting his wife, and then courtship, and then their life kind of throughout it, while going back to his relationship with his community, and how he hates some of the, he's just a curmudgeon. He hates certain things about the, people driving through this neighborhood. It's not a drive-through kind of neighborhood, and then he has history with certain neighbors and that live there, that he tries to make amends and whatnot. And I hated the tacked on kind of raw kind of ending they tried to put on there with this whole construction company trying to build over his community. It just felt It felt kind of and it wants you to feel a certain way, but I don't know. It didn't hit with me. It wasn't the worst thing I ever saw, but it definitely not one of the better ones by Tom Hanks or whatnot. I say probably see the original, A Man Named Ovo or Ova or something. I think that's what it's called, instead of Otto. You can look it up. Apparently that one's better. So I don't know, but that's what I heard. But this one was just, you could skip this one. There's this formula has been done before. A curmudgeon guy that gets, turned around by his neighbors. Like, oh, it's basically the Grinch. Like, oh, I'm now happy and I want to help the community, kind of thing. But they play a little too downbeat, in my opinion. And then when they go upbeat, it's a little too up. So it's like two extreme highs and lows, and there's no medium there. I didn't hate it, but I would just say skip it. It's just, I wouldn't say it sucks, but it's just on the low side of you could do worse. But yeah, that's did three movies, and most of them were really good. So if you like this, stick around for more Susan Man Entertainment.